Hi, Assalamualaikum and good day. In this video, me and my teammates Rina, Raihana and Zahra will take a deeper look into what is Personal Data Protection Act 2010. So, first thing first, what is PDPA? PDPA is basically Malaysia's law for protecting personal data in commercial transactions. It has been enforced since November 15, 2013, and it ensures that personal data is managed properly and securely by requiring organizations to get consent before using personal data. PDPA outlines rules for how data can be collected, stored, and shared to protect individuals' privacy and helps prevent data misuse. Now let us take a look at the importance of PDPA as well as the significance of PDPA. For the importance of PDPA, PDPA is very important because it helps to protect privacy. It will safeguard personal data from misuse and unauthorized access. It also ensures compliances by helping businesses adhere to legal standards, avoiding penalties and legal issues. Last but not least, it enhances consumer confidence by ensuring their data is handled responsibly. Hence, it will build trust between consumer and organizations. For the significance of PDPA, PDPA is very significant because it provides a clear set of rules for data protection in Malaysia. Next, it also promotes better data management practices, reducing the risk of data breaches. And last but not least, it empowers individuals with rights over their personal data, such as access and correction. With everything that has been said, it is safe to say that the main principle of PDPA is that organization must obtain explicit consent from individuals before collecting, using, or sharing their personal data.
Okay, so there have been many cases of data breaches around Malaysia, especially in recent years. So let's have a quick look at some of the news headlines. Right, so it has been reported that approximately 5,436 accounts are breached per day in Malaysia. Our country ranked fifth in terms of data breach occurrences. The news headlines shown are just a very tiny fraction of cases from 2021 to 2023. As we can see here, there are personal data leaks, worries about PADU, and urges for explanations, and these are just a few of the cases reported. However, today we'll be focusing on a case that happened in 2021 where allegedly over 4 million data of Malaysians were leaked, where personal information such as addresses, phone numbers, and identification numbers were involved. Now let's start with a brief overview of the case. It was found on the dark web where the personal data of 4 million Malaysians aged 23 to 43 kept by the National Registration Department or GPN appears to have been put up for sale online for about 35,000 ringgit. It was also reported that the data was leaked from Inland Revenue Board, aka LHDN, more specifically My Identity, where data from GPN is shared. So what's the problem in this case? Both LHDN and My Identity are government entities. Unfortunately, at the time, those bodies have lack of accountability due to Section 3.1 of the PDPA 2010. If we look to the right, there's a snapshot of Section 3.1 of the PDPA 2010, where it states the inapplicability of the PDPA to the federal and state governments. Therefore, this case addresses the need for amendments to the PDPA 2010. There was, however, a proposed amendment to the PDPA in 2020. On the right-hand side here, under Action, there's a snapshot of a part of the proposed improvement suggestion taken from the public consultation paper, where the applicability of PDPA to government entities will be considered, but there have been no updates on this since then. Okay, now let's talk about what happened. A total of 32 gigabytes of data in 19 files contained the information of those born between 1979 and 1998, with details such as addresses, mobile numbers, photographs, as well as race, religion, and MyCard identification numbers. All data were in comma separated values format or CSV format and JavaScript object notation format or JSON format were selling for zero point 0.2 Bitcoin, which was approximately 35,500 ringgit at the time. After it was posted on 28 September 2021, the seller responded to a potential buyer on the forum who requested to only purchase the database of people living in Kuching and Serian Sarawak, but the seller said that they prefer selling in bulk. They also provided a set of JSON tags to prove that their leaked data is authentic. Now that we've gone through what happened and a brief mention of the details, what was the aftermath? LHDN denied that the data was obtained from their website and said in a statement that it is data from an API used by My Identity, which is under GPN supervision. LHDN then says that they're working with GPN, the National Cybersecurity Agency, NACSA, of the National Security Council MKN to investigate the matter. And at the same time, GPN Director General Ruslan Jusoh, uh, who was Director General of GPN at the time, refused to disclose any details despite receiving reports of data leaks from GPN. This lack of response shows the lack of accountability held against them and the importance of the proposed amendment mentioned earlier. Therefore, other than the fact that at the time there were much less accountability towards the government entities involved due to the PDPA, as citizens, it is important to know and be aware of what data is stored and where your data is stored. That's all for the short case study on the JPN data leak in 2021.
So, why should you know about PDPA? Let's discuss more on the pros and cons of PDPA. The pros of PDPA is PDPA requires organizations strict security measures like encryption and access control to protect personal data from unauthorized access, misuse, and loss. Next, the PDPA benefit from its consent-based processing. It mandates obtaining consent from individuals before collecting, using or disclosing their personal data, giving individuals control over their information. Not only that, PDPA requires notice and choice. Data users must inform individuals about data collection purpose, type of data collected, and its use, so that individuals can make decisions if they agree to share their data. But the cons of PDPA is it can be a compliance burden to business, especially to a small one. Following PDPA rules takes a lot of resource, time, money, and people to make sure businesses are doing it right. Next, its complexity. The principles and requirements of PDPA can be complex and difficult to interpret. Businesses may struggle to fully understand their obligations. Not only that, government entities are not the subject to PDPA. They are not held accountability under its regulations for managing personal data. Now, let's take a look on statistics of data breaches. On the left, the bar chart represents the total data leak by sectors. Out of all the sectors, three sectors that are the most vulnerable are telecommunications with 38%, government with 29%, and logistics and transportation with 21%. Data breaches in government sectors could put sensitive information at risk, potentially undermining national security and government operations. On the right side, we have a pie chart of highlighting the behavior of the three actors. Alarming, about 37 of them sell the leaked data and 63 of it share it. This could lead to different problems like damaging reputations or spreading the data for more harm. The top three threat actors that leak Malaysia sensitive data is number one, Leakbase, number two, DataWise, and number three, Disorden.
Moving on for our recommendation of PDPA in our daily life. First, enhance enforcement mechanisms. Introduce stricter enforcement mechanism and higher penalties for non-compliance to deter breaches and encourage better data protection practices across all sectors. And next recommendation is public awareness and education. To implement a nationwide campaign to educate the public and organisation about their rights and responsibilities under the PDPA to improve overall compliance and data protection culture. And then data breach notification requirement. Introduce mandatory data breach notification requirements to ensure that affected individuals are promptly informed about their data breaches and can take necessary steps to protect themselves. Finally, strengthen data transfer regulation. Tighten regulation around cross-border data transfers to ensure personal data is adequately protected when transferring outside of Malaysia. Moving on to our next agenda, the conclusion of PDPA. First is under comprehensive protection. The PDPA 2010 plays a crucial role in safeguarding personal data, thereby protecting individuals' privacy and fostering improved public and private sector organisation. And next, need of inclusion of government entities to address existing gap. It is essential to amend the PDPA to cover federal and state government entities, ensuring uniform data protection standards. And moving on for balancing acts, while the PDPA imposes compliance burdens, it is necessary to strike a balance between robust data protection and not stifling innovation and economic growth. And for continuous improvement, the PDPA should be regularly reviewed and updated to adapt to new challenges and technological development, maintaining its effectiveness in protecting personal data. Under public engagement, ongoing public education and support initiatives are vital to enhance understanding and compliance with data protection laws, contributing to a more secure and trustworthy data environment. And lastly, for our future readiness, by implementing all the recommendations, Malaysia can ensure that its data protection framework remains robust, adaptable, and capable of addressing future data protection challenges.